Back when I was a teenager, my pops would always tell me, "Son, I know that you think you're slick. You're gonna go out drinking with your friends, I get it. I was a kid too once. But don't you ever let me hear that you were drinking and driving, because I will end you if somebody else doesn't beat me to it." Obviously, he didn't want me getting myself hurt, and obviously, he didn't want me getting into any trouble. I get it. For years I would hear it and not really pay much attention, because I'm not an idiot. I know that I'm not supposed to, but there is more to it, you see. My mom told me that when he was a kid, my pops had a friend named Wilbur. They used to ride bikes everywhere, like everywhere. Some real stand by me kind of stuff, you know? Kids on bikes palling around all over the place. You know in the movies where the kids have the baseball cards in their bike spokes, and it makes that tickety-tack sound? Wilbur used to have so many baseball cards in his wheels. Whoever won the World Series last, he'd keep all their cards in his spokes. That's what my mom said. I don't know if she even knew Wilbur really, or just heard it from Pops. Anyway, one night Wilbur and my dad were out riding their bikes someplace, and this drunk driver comes out of nowhere. My old man barely gets out of the way, but Wilbur gets hit head on. Pow. Baseball cards coming down from the sky like snow, and the screams of Wilbur crying out. The driver's so drunk that he doesn't even seem to realize what he's done. He just keeps driving off, swerving down the road, leaving zigzagging bloody lines. And the cops caught him the next day. It was pretty easy. But it was way too late for Wilbur. 10-year-olds don't walk away from hits like that. To this day, Pops has nightmares sometimes. He wakes up screaming about baseball cards raining down. So I get it. I definitely get why he doesn't want me drinking and driving. Hell, I get the shakes thinking about the way he told the story when I finally pressed him for it 1 year after I had a kid of my own. I have nightmares for him. Anyway, at work, we had this guy named Jordan. He was a bit younger than me. Capable, but you just had to put up with a lot of flash from him. We got to put on a project together and he didn't improve on me much. I can only take so much braggadocio before I'm done. I'm a small dude, so big guy swagger is something I never really understood or developed a taste for. When we finally finished the project, he insisted we go out for a celebratory drink. So we went to this old bar that's been around for ages called Greenlee's. Greenlee's looks like it had been around for generations. I mean, everything's made out of nice wood. Not because it's fancy, but because in the old days that's just how they did it, you know. It had a jukebox that hadn't been updated in years. A bartender that hadn't been updated in years as well. Probably Greenlee himself. The wall behind the bar I noticed was covered in baseball cards. Jordan told me to get a drink. "Come on, man, we're celebrating." "Who's the DD?" I asked. "Don't sweat it, man, I'll drive." He then proceeded to order a tequila and beer chaser for each of us. Some DD. I could already see how this was going to go, so I nursed the beer and I turned down the shot. "More for me," he said before tossing it back and slamming it hard like a shotgun blast on the bar top. The old man behind the bar came down to check on us. "You boys driving tonight?" he asked. "I am," I said. "Don't worry, I'm just having this one." He nodded, concerned. "Make the smart choice," he said. "You don't want to get caught out there driving drunk." Maybe it was his somber tone or the baseball cards or the warning about driving drunk. Probably it was all three. But I was just reminded of the Wilbur story, and I just couldn't help myself. I unloaded the tail on the old man and he choked up. "Glad to know that people still think of him," he said. "I'm glad I'm not the only one." It took a minute for all of it to click. Wait, were you related to him? I asked. He nods weakly. He was my boy. My only boy. I never did have another. Suddenly I found myself staring over the baseball cards, a memorial to his lost legacy. A gut punch to my celebration, which was already off to a bad start. So why run a bar? I asked. If your kid was killed by a drunk driver, why do it? Doesn't it feel wrong? People who drink in my bar don't drink and drive, he said. They don't kill kids. But what if they did? I asked. What if they promise that they'll catch a cab, and then once they step outside they just drive off? If they're smart, they don't. And they don't. But, look, he said. I ran this bar before I lost Wilbur. I've got everything tied up in it. I still gotta put bread on my table. I still gotta keep the lights on back at home. I still gotta make sure his mama gets the care that she needs. Besides, I don't know how to do anything else. And drinking ain't illegal. Driving ain't illegal. It's only the bastards who do the two together that are the problem. And that don't happen here. I make sure of it. He was so insistent. I'm sure somebody has driven drunk from here before. Maybe he just does his damned best and does his best to rationalize the rest away. I don't know what it's like to go through something like that. I can't even imagine what I'd do. How it would change me. What lies I would tell myself just to keep going, day after day. The night pressed on. Jordan plowed through drink after drink, and true to my word, I nursed that one beer. When it was time to cut out, I grabbed Jordan by the elbow and I began to lead him away. Come on, time to go. Where? He asked. To my car and to your house. You need to sleep this one off and I need to get home to my family. Nah, he said, almost slurring. I told you, I'm driving us tonight. The old man gave us a scowl and I offered him a +18 gesture. Not tonight you're not, I said. We're taking my car. Your minivan, he said with contempt. What are chicks gonna say when they see me getting out of a minivan? I looked around the mostly empty bar. Not a woman to be seen. I don't think that's gonna be a problem, I said. We're taking my car, he said. Fine, whatever, just give me the keys. It took some effort, but he finally handed them over when the bartender had threatened to call the cops and have them wait for my coworker just outside the parking lot. Maybe he was right when he said that nobody ever drove drunk from his place. Once we got into the parking lot, he grabbed me hard by the shoulder and spun me around. All right, man, he said. Now that Grandpa's off my back, give me the keys. No, I said, you're drunk. It takes a lot more than that to make me drunk, he said, as he tightened his grip on my shoulder. Come on, give me the keys. I resisted, but then he started dropping casual reminders about how he had been taking Krav Maga for years. The guy already had a head and a half on me and looked like the kind of guy who actually enjoyed going to the gym. Not me. When it came to blows, I knew that I wouldn't stand a chance. He would drop me in one punch, take the keys, and it would still end up with him behind the wheel. Only I might end up in the hospital if I resisted much more. I relented and I gave him the keys. I don't know why I insisted in riding with him. I know it would have been safer just to take my van and drive myself home. Maybe I thought that if I rode with him, I would be able to spot things that he didn't see. Keep him and everybody else on the road a little bit safer. He gave me grief about it, saying that I was a lightweight who couldn't handle a single beer. I knew the truth though. I could live with his insults. The important thing was that we would both live. He pulled out, and I could tell within 100 yards that he shouldn't be behind the wheel. Not long after that, I heard it. Quiet at first, but growing louder. I could hear it over the engine, over the music, over the insults. "Do you hear that?" I asked Jordan. "Hear what?" he asked. "That ticking, the clicking sound," I said. He squinted as though that might help his ears work better. "Yeah," he said. "Yeah, I hear it. What is it?" "I don't know," I said, but I knew, deep down in some unconscious, fearful primal part of my mind. I looked up, and there in the road ahead of us was a little boy no older than 10 riding his bike. It was an old-school style bike with the fenders. In his spokes I saw a slew of baseball cards clickety-clacking away as he pedaled. "Look out!" I shouted at Jordan. "What?" he said. He was too focused on the noise, and by the time he saw, it was too late. My stomach turned at the first crunch of metal, the sickening thump, the rain of baseball cards. The scream. My God, the anguished scream. "Stop the car," I said. "Nah, man," he said, his eyes filled with shock and fear. "It's too late for him, but no one saw." "Stop the car," I said, and I jerked the wheel hard, sending us into a skid. The car ground to a halt several yards down the road, the smell of burned rubber stinging my nostrils. "The hell, man," he said. "No, you. Get the hell out of the car and check on that freaking kid." I could still hear the kid screaming. The kid crying out the most heart-rending cry I will ever hear in my life. Jordan threw a little fit and then he got out. The asshole checked the front of his car first, looking for damage. "Forget the car, check the freaking kid," I screamed loudly, but not loud enough to drown out the screams and the soft tickety-tack as the bike wheel slowly spun down to nothing. Jordan gave me a dirty look and he walked behind us. I didn't dare look directly. I couldn't stomach what I knew what I would see, but I peeked in the rearview mirror as he went. I saw him pause. "The hell?" I heard him say. He bent down and the screaming stopped. I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and nothing. He never stood back up. I steeled myself and I turned to see, but there was nothing. No Jordan, no kid, no bike. I took a deep breath and then I climbed out of the car. Nothing. The front of the car was undamaged, no screaming kid, no crushed bike and no bloodstains. No baseball cards scattered on the road. There was no sign that anything had happened except the skid marks on the road. I looked around for Jordan and I called out to him, but he was gone. I thought about calling the cops, but what would I say? As far as the crime scene was concerned, a drunk guy skidded. There was no hit. I walked a few hundred yards back to Greenlee's and I got in my car and I drove home. That night, I shared the nightmare my pops had been having since he was 10 years old. Jordan didn't show up for work the next day, or the next day. For weeks, I had the nightmares. I wanted to drink the shakes away, but I was too afraid to touch a bottle. I don't know why, but on the 1 month since Jordan disappeared, I found myself sitting at Greenlee's. I ordered a tequila and a beer. I didn't drink either, I just stared at them. The sounds haunted my memories. The crunch, the scream, the ticking sound. "Everything all right?" Greenlee asked. "Just dealing with something," I said, and my eyes drifted over the baseball cards on the back wall. One card in particular caught my eye. Johnny Schmidt's 1952 Yankees, Maybe it was just a coincidence, but I could swear the guy looked just like Jordan. Not drinking and driving tonight, are ya? Asked Greenlee. No, I said, my mouth suddenly dry, my thoughts and words crumbling. No, I'm gonna call a cab. Good, he said. Make the smart choice. It's hung there. Make the smart choice, and the scream and the crunch, and the tickety-tack-tack-tack, the Johnny Schmidt's baseball card, the scream, the ticking, the crunch, make the smart choice, the scream, the tickety-tack-tack-tack, the baseball card. Make the smart choice, the baseball card.